Participate. Okay, so how many guys have borrowed somebody's car or rented a car or whatever, and you didn't really check it out? You just got in, turned the key, and took off. How many times have people done that? Everybody probably. The problem is when you borrow somebody else's car, you don't know what kind of maintenance they're doing. You don't know what they've done. You should walk around the car completely, check the tires, make sure they're good to go. I'm going to show you how to open the hood. There's a hood latch usually on the inside, below where your feet are at, and then there's usually another latch, it's a safety latch, that's underneath the hood, and you can pick it up. Okay, most of them have both latches. Okay, some of the older cars didn't, but most of the newer cars do. Okay, so why should I know how to open the hood? Well, everything that's in the world in a car is underneath that hood. Okay, you need to check the oil. What about they're 2 quarts low on oil and you burn it up? Well, now you own the car, for what reason? Because you didn't check it. To say, hey, you're 2 quarts low, give me some oil, kind of thing. But you want to check that. Those two, the oil and the radiator, are the 2 biggest things, because if you don't have any water in the radiator coolant, you'll burn it up too. Okay, because that keeps the engine cool. Okay, so we really need to know how to do these things, I'm telling you. So you want to check when you're just borrowing somebody's car or whatever. You want to check, make sure the headlights work, make sure all your running lights work, turn on the thing and make sure turn signals work. And how do you do it? You just turn them on. And brake lights are hard to check because you got to push on the brake. You can't run back there and check your brake lights, right? So you can put something heavy on it and check them. But you'll get a ticket, you guys. If they don't work and you get pulled over, you will get a ticket for somebody else's stupidity that didn't check it before. They got a bulb out, whatever. So make sure that's right. You guys, and in a car too, I can't stress it enough, keep it clean inside. How many people live out of their car? Come on. I mean, a lot of stuff in there, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people do. Well, guess what? I went to a lot of automobile accidents, and that stuff is all projectiles. It will hit you in the back of the head, it'll hit you on the side. Everybody goes, oh, I can put my hand up. No, you can't. I've seen it too many times. You cannot put your hands up quick enough. And there's stuff just all over the place when you're in a wreck. You just would not believe it. So keep it clean. That's a clean car is really a safe car, guys. Seriously, it really is very, very clean. So you want to keep it that way, okay? And then just throw everything in the trunk. If they got a trunk, throw it in the trunk. Or if they don't have a trunk, it's behind the back seat. Put everything in the back like SUVs have, just kind of an open space. Put it back there, just out of your way, and especially with kids, right? How much stuff you have with kids, the back seat, the thing you strap the kid in with, and all their toys and everything. Those are all just little missiles, so strap everything down if you can. Okay, windows always have to be clean. Make sure you have a good view in the back window, okay? Years ago I was taught how to drive with if you got a side mirror on the side, on both sides usually, learn how to drive with your mirrors too. Okay, always check your mirrors. The new cars, they even tell you if there's somebody on the side again. But yeah, they do, they just beep and they do all sorts of stupid things. But anyway, learn how to use your mirrors, because if someday you're moving and you got a lot of stuff in the back, now you can't see out your back window. Well, these mirrors, don't tear them off. They're for something, you know what I mean? So use them, use your mirrors, and drive with them. When I learned how to drive this way, I had to drive a fire truck, and I literally backed. You guys not gonna believe it. I backed for 6 hours, backed up and down roads and everything. Well, that taught me how to use my mirrors. Yeah, so you can do it. I mean, believe me, just go in a parking lot. Who cares? Just do it, and figure out how to do it. Okay, but cars are interesting things. We all need them, but they're a lot of work and a lot of maintenance, as you guys probably know if you have a car. So what else? What else you should check? So you check the oil, check the radiator, check the tires. Everything looks good. All the windows are clean. Okay, we're inside. Everything looks clean inside. Turn it on and then check the display. Because a lot of times things come up on the display. And it's got a little motor sign. You're like, oh, what's that? It could be anything, right? But we check the oil and radiator. At least that's good. But check the panel. Make sure everything's not on. How many get the low tire pressure? You guys ever get the low tire pressure on the thing? The tires could still be good, but there's a sensor that's inside the tire that they go bad. Okay, so if you keep putting, let's say they're 35 pounds on all the tires, and you're at 35 pounds, it's probably the sensor. Okay, so you can probably, unless you get that fixed, you have to go to a shop and they'll replace that. They'll have to take the tire off, take it off the rim, put a new one on and then replace it. I just had one done. So it's just things on your display. It's irritating when it comes up, I know. It's just not good. So anyway, so try to keep that clean if you can, okay? And just make sure everything works on the panel. And like I said, make sure your headlights work, because you might be driving at night. You borrow the car, it goes into day, now it goes into night, and you want to make sure and then be aware of where everything's at, the AC, the heater, just, overall, look at the whole thing and just, become accustomed to it. How about that? That's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so anyway, so that's kind of like a general thing of a car when you borrow one, or you just or you rent one or whatever. Just look at it, because rental companies are the worst too. They are really the worst. I mean, they don't take care of their cars at all. Really, they try, but they don't. That's why they sell so many of them. Okay, let me get the door. Okay, all right. So let me get back to my thing. So you guys have a pair of gloves in your car, just gloves, plastic gloves, and a rag. A rag's a big deal, right? I'm checking oil. I don't want that stuff on me. I don't want it on me. So just try to have that with you in the car and put it someplace safe, maybe in the side of your tank, where you can check stuff pretty good. Okay. Okay. Now I split the car up into 4 different sections. Okay. So we're going to go with the engine area first. Okay. So the biggest thing is the engine runs the car, okay? They make all different kinds of shapes and sizes of engines, and it's pretty boring to most people, the engine is, but if it's not running right, it's gonna cause you a lot of problems, and they're very expensive to replace. An engine is very expensive to replace. So, what do we need to know about an engine? First thing is the oil. That's the blood of the car, okay? If you don't have any blood, you're gonna die, and the same thing with an engine. So keep it don't overfill it, don't underfill it, keep it within the thing. And when we're gonna do a show and tell, some of these cars, somebody's gonna say, you can check my car out, hopefully in this group, and then we'll check your oil and stuff like that, okay? And why I'm saying that, different cars now today, electric, right? And then you got the hybrids, right? Electric and a hybrid are totally different. A hybrid has a motor, and it's electric also. Okay, where electric car is all electric. And now how I tell now is I just look at the back, and if they don't have an exhaust coming out the back, they're probably electric, because they don't have an engine. Engines give out exhaust. Okay, so that's one way to tell. You're like, what was that? Huh? Or it says EV on the side or something. That's a good tell too. So anyway, so it's hard to check all the cars the same, you know what I'm saying? So on an EV, all I got to make sure is the batteries are up. Usually you'll go in and you'll fire it off, and you can tell if the batteries are up or not, and they only go so many miles and then they die, and then you gotta plug it in someplace. A hybrid is different. The motor charges the battery. Okay, there's a battery in the back of mine that extends the back seat. It's about 75 pounds, and it's in the back seat, and the motor charges that. On the batteries for that side, the hybrid, it has a radiator also. So it has a radiator for the motor, and it also has a radiator for the hybrid, for the electric side, for the battery side. Batteries have to keep cool. That's why they did that. Some guy a lot brighter than me figured that out. Okay, so it keeps the batteries cool. Okay, so, and I think it's the best of both worlds, because you never, as long as you have gas, you can, and they run a long time. They get 50 miles a gallon. They're the way to go. I really believe it, but not because I own one. I'm just saying they just really do. They're really the way to go, I think, until they get the batteries right for the EVs and stuff. So they can only go about 300 miles usually with most EVs. I know a lady bought one of those Mini Coopers, all electric. She gets 100 miles per charge. That's it, brand new. I'm like, really? Where can you go? 7-Eleven and back? Maybe twice? That's about it. That's ridiculous, right? So I'm like, why'd you even buy it? It doesn't make any sense to me, but people buy them. Doing the environment good, I guess. So anyway, so if whatever car you have, and all different shapes and sizes, you all check them differently, but they're really kind of all the same. They really are. And they're new or old or whatever. They're really, when you check them, they're all the same. So when we check stuff, I'll show you. Okay, so in the engine compartment again, things that are important are labeled in color, okay? Usually yellow, you'll pull a yellow dipstick, and usually it's yellow on the top, that's usually your oil. Sometimes red is a transmission, it's a dipstick again. Some of the caps are labeled in yellow and stuff like that. So if it's in yellow, stuff you want to check. Okay, I want to check that, I want to check that, I want to check that. Maybe you don't know you're checking it, but at least you're checking it. You know what I mean? That makes sense. Okay, so you can only do so much, you know, like I said, you want to check these are just at least the oil and at least the radiator. And you don't go into the main radiator to check it, okay? That has a cap usually, and it's very hot usually. Check it in the morning when everything's cool. That's what you really want to check everything. So it's cold, the oil's all the way down into the oil sump that's on the bottom. Then when you pull out the dipstick, it's down at the bottom, you'll get a good reading. And then the radiator also, it's cold. So now you don't have to open that up. It usually has another line that goes over to a plastic container. It's a reservoir, okay? And in that reservoir, just make sure that's up to the maximum level, okay? And that way, you know it's full, okay? And try not to put just water in there. They make 50-50 radiator fluid. You can put straight radiator, but you got to be careful not to. It's for some reason they don't like pure radiator coolant in it. So you want to cut it like 50-50. Okay, something the water helps it in a lot of different ways. So. Okay, so those two things are the main thing. Transmission would probably be the third thing. Transmissions are kind of funny because you don't check them normally. The motor has to be running, and then you pull the dipstick, okay? And it has to be warm. So that's a whole different ballgame as far as that. You could probably Google it for your car to see how or look on your owner's manual, okay? You guys, in the owner's manuals, you haven't said enough about it. It really tells you how to do a lot of things. Check your owner's manual and keep up with that, and then keep up with your maintenance. Anytime you do it, write it down somewhere. Write it down on a napkin, a piece of paper, I don't care, write it down and put it in your glove box. And you can say, oh, I checked my oil a month ago. I got like 4 vehicles, I'm checking my oil all the time, it seems like, it feels like it, so. Anyway, so just, got to have a maintenance record, and we have a thing here, a chart for you, so you guys can keep that with you, okay? So, engine area, power steering. You have power steering underneath there. It's just a little bit of reservoir. You pop the cap, you check it's just a little dipstick, and if your power steering goes low, you don't have steering. It's going to be very difficult to steer, so keep that up, and if it keeps draining and you keep adding to it, you probably have a leak, okay, somewhere, if you see stuff on the ground especially, okay? So check that, and then, let's see, what else is underneath there? Power steering, oh, battery. Okay, battery's pretty important. Everybody's had a dead battery, right? Everybody's had a dead battery, everybody. I know a battery guy that does it for a living, and what he told me, I said, I used to buy batteries that lasted 5 years, 7 years, sometimes on my truck. I mean, they were expensive, but I bought them because they lasted longer. And he said, Bill, because of the new cars and all the modules that they have inside, they never shut off. The modules are always on and always drawing power from the battery. They're modules all over the car. I mean, if you've got a fancy car that's got a lot of bells and whistles, you've got a car that's going to eat batteries. I guarantee it. They're on all the time. You can, just because you shut it off, unless you take the negative off your battery every night, it's going to drain the battery.
Like if you turn off your car, your lights are still going.
Yep.
They
stay on for about 30 seconds or so. But that's one thing. But I'm talking about, there are modules on there. You probably have little red lights on there.
I have 2 batteries in
all
my
different
car.
Things. Huh?
My car has 2 batteries.
There's a reason for that.
And
it's a little car.
And I was like, wait, I have 2 batteries?
Yeah.
I can pay for 2 of them?
Yeah, that's a nightmare. But batteries are a funny thing, and he told me because of those modules, that's why they're not lasting as long. They're on. I mean, I have a little light on my dash. It's red. I don't know what it does, but it's there. It's on. I have no idea what it does. I have no idea, but it's on.
Look that up.
So you gotta look that up. Yeah. What's the little light? So anyway, your battery is a funny thing. They'll last about 3 years, and that's all you're going to get out of it. Even a good one like Interstate or something like that, you're going to get about 3 years, and that's it. That's it. Don't even try to charge it. and then it's dead the next day, and then you charge it again. Don't mess with it. Just get rid of it. It's not worth it. It really isn't. Just get another one. Because I used to do that. Charge it. It was just crazy.
Well, that's what you did, like, you just.
I know, you charge it, and then they would stay up because you had older cars and they don't have those modules and stuff. They're just pretty basic. All the battery does is really, it starts the car, and then all the lights and everything works. Now, if the battery goes dead while you're driving, then the car will die, okay? But the alternator charges the battery, okay? And that's what keeps it going. I mean, because if you just have the battery only, you'll kill it in a matter of time, matter of minutes, especially at night with your lights on. Oh, you'll kill it. I've killed one in my old motorhome we had. I was going down 8, coming into El Cajon, and I go, God, my battery's getting dim. And then my lights got dim, and I'm like, holy shit. And then my car stopped. It stopped. It went close, and I went boom, and I'm like this. Now your power steering not working anymore. Like, I got off on Johnson. I was like, oh, and I got off just miraculously, but it was a dead battery, yeah, because my alternator was no good, and then it wouldn't charge the battery, and so on and so on. So cars are. There's always something wrong with cars. Oh, that's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is really scary because you got to get over and you got to get off the freeway because everybody in the freeway wants to kill you. You really just get off the freeway. And I've had to tell you that, guys. Seriously, I tell my wife the same thing. Drive it on the rim to get off the freeway. Do not worry about the rim or the tire or anything. Just drive, keep driving, because you don't want to stay on the freeway. People want to kill you on the freeway. I've seen so many people die on the freeway from being hit just on the side of the road. You're like magnets. They come right at you for some reason. Don't just, the shoulder is not safe. Believe me, it's not safe. So many accidents like that. I mean, just get off the freeway. Just keep driving. I don't care, on the rim. I had a guy, he passed us, and we were in the fire truck. He passed us. He had no tires in the back of his wheels, none, on rims. And it looked like somebody was taking a grinding stone like this, sparks on both of them were coming out. And he was probably going 65, 70. I mean, seriously, I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. That was the craziest thing I ever seen. Look at that. And he's causing fires on the side of the road. Yeah, it was just crazy. So,
wait, that's fire
yeah. I know, I called the police. I said, hey, we got to get this guy. So anyway, battery. So probably batteries are probably the #1 thing that probably goes out underneath your hood, I would say. Okay. Keep them clean. They make battery cleaner. You can spray it right on it. It bubbles up, turns green, turns yellow, and then wipe it off. And a clean battery doesn't discharge. A dirty battery does. So if you got dirt and grease and everything on the top of your battery, it's discharging faster than if it was clean. Okay, just like, it's just something about the dirt and stuff that just drains the battery for some reason. So anyway, I think I replaced 4 batteries last year, or 5. Yeah, I hate batteries. Anyway, so I hate batteries. Everybody's probably had a battery thing. Anyway, so keep them clean. It's like the inside, keep it clean. I mean, seriously, you got to keep it clean, okay? All righty, where were we? Okay, so I'll just start at the beginning. Hood release, guys, like I said, it's usually below your feet, on the side, or underneath, and it'll say release. And you pop it, you'll see your thing pop up a little bit, hopefully not while it's not running, and then you'll have a latch, usually in the middle, and you put your hand underneath there just lightly, and don't let it fall down on your hands, and then just click it and open it up. And you know how they got those rods that hold up the hood? Yeah, they used to have just shocks, imagine that. Now they went to these rods, and you gotta go like this, you gotta have 4 hands to do it. So yeah, hook it on that, make sure it's in there before you let go, okay? Check all your fluid levels, check the oil dipstick. We will do that to somebody's car, okay? Brake fluid, remember I told you about the brake fluid and adding battery. Know the location of your battery always, hopefully everybody has AAA. If you don't, get it. I mean, they'll say you battery run on the spot, but better than not having it, believe it's well worth it. And keep the connections clean and add water. Most of them they're called sealed batteries. You can't get to the battery at all. The older ones you could pop them. I noticed the deep cell ones, like for an RV or for a boat or for something like that, they have caps you can pop up, and you can physically look at the water level. You want to bring that water level just all the way, but not overflowing out of the caps. below, there's like that much, and then you want to bring it right to there. And all that's in a battery is lead. It's lead and acid. And just the steering fluid, we talked about that. It's just a little bitty reservoir about that big, and it doesn't take much. And they even sell it in little pints, or power steering fluid. Windshield wiper fluid, always keep that up too. You can put water in your windshield wiper fluid, doesn't have to be, or you can go to the 99-cent store and get a gallon of windshield wiper fluid. I mean, and pour that in there, and keep that up, because you really want a clean window. You really do, especially when it rains or whatever. You just want to be able to see it, especially at night. You get a lot of glare. You know, keep your front window clean. That's a good idea. Transmission fluid, we got to find it. You got to first find it. It's usually, if I'm looking at, if I'm standing here and I'm looking inside, this whole section here, when the hood's up and I'm looking down below on the bottom, they call that the firewall. Okay, that's a firewall of the motor. Usually the transmission is closer to here because it's in the middle of the car, underneath. Okay, so anyway, that's where you'll find the dipstick for a transmission. Okay, okay, air filters. If you live on a dirt road, you got to replace your air filters more than if you don't. Okay, it's just the way it is. You know, I know some guys that have trucks and they live on dirt roads, and they got to replace theirs like every month. You're not going to. It's just the way it is, because they get dirty as you all get out, and you gotta replace them, because once you constrict that air filter and it can't breathe, you're choking out the motor, and that's a bad thing. Okay, even if you take it out, knock it out, you know, when you do your checks and stuff, it's good to do, you know, just to check it. And I'll show you where those are at too. Belts and hoses. Belts are lasting about 100,000 miles now, just a belt. Okay, usually they call it a serpentine belt. That it's one. One belt controls everything. Controls your AC, controls your power steering, controls your alternator, and goes just like that. You know, so you know, multiple belts, usually on older cars. Okay, the older cars had the multiple belts. You know, but the newer ones, they have one belt, and it's a serpentine belt. And so, like I said, they last about 100,000 miles. Hoses are about the same. They'll last about 100,000 miles too, usually. But it's good to replace them if you're going to go on a long trip. You want a belt or a hose to blow. And if you do replace them, ask for the old one. Right? It's still good. It might get you to where you need to go if you've got one. You know what I mean? Keep it. Just put it in the car and keep it in the car. I don't know, put this on there. Sounds, smells, indicators that there's a problem. You know, you can smell stuff, you know, and you go, it smells burning, or you know, just general look of the whole thing. When you're driving, especially in the winter, and it's a warm vehicle, and you park it, and if you have rats or mice in your anywhere, if you live in just doesn't matter, East County, a lot of rats and mice. Anyway, they'll crawl up in there because it's warm. Then they'll make a nest.
And they
they'll have
chew
babies.
the wires.
And it gets worse and worse, you know.
Yeah. I had one that chewed the wires in my car.
They like to chew wiring, because what they're doing is they're taking that and they're making a nest inside your thing with the wiring and stuff. So that's why they chew it up. So, yeah, I don't know if anybody's had that problem before, but yeah, you can have it. You know, I've seen birds' nests in there. I've seen rats' nests.
I've heard of kittens getting in
Kittens
cars.
get in there, yeah. It's just warm. It's a place, you know, and a lot of times they get where the fan's at, and that's a bad thing. That's the engine compartment. So you guys got any questions about the engine compartment at all? And we'll open it up and we'll physically look at it. You guys hopefully will be a lot more stronger for this class when you're looking at stuff, okay? So no questions about that? Okay, moving right along. Okay. The interior, okay, I know it's probably the most boring thing about a car, but anyway, you want to check, nowadays, the older cars just had lap belts, you know, most of the time we never wore them. You know, you've got 7 kids, how do you do that? There's 3 of us or 4 of us are not going to have a seatbelt. So you just kind of did what you did, and we made it through life. I don't know how we did it, but we made it. But seatbelts now, they're like this. Some of them are automatic. You sit in a chair, and they go, you know, and go on. You've seen those before, and they strap you back. But make sure the seatbelts are not too tight, not too bad as far as where you're going to sit and stuff. Make sure they're adjusted right. And the same with your seat. You know, I see people, they're way back here, and the steering wheel's right here, and they're right about here driving. I'm like, really? Anything happens, you're not even ready for anything to happen. You know, I always tell people, drive like somebody's gonna hit you all the time. I'm telling you, drive defensively, because they do wanna hit you. I'm telling you, and people are driving like this, and they're right next to you, and you're like, but
then I'm
anyway.
worried about being too close to the steering
I
wheel.
know. You wanna be
The
about,
airbag
I mean,
hit
honestly,
me
you
or
just
something.
wanna be enough to where your elbow's cocked a little bit, just like that. That's it. I don't wanna be like this, and I don't wanna be back here like this, like I'm on a lounge chair. Okay, I don't want that, you know, get a little closer. It would be the best thing you can do. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the instrument panel. When you turn it on, and it'll light up, and then everything should go off. If it doesn't, you've probably got a problem, and then look what it is. You don't know what that symbol means, and they'll tell me go to the owner's manual. Oh, that's a light bulb for my back light. Okay, now you know what it is. You can fix it, you can go check it and say, yep, it's out. Thank God I took Bill's class. Right? Exactly. So anyway, so check the instrument panel, make sure there's nothing on, and then when it fires off, everything's clear, okay? Then they have things called idiot lights, and then they have, they're called idiot
that's what
lights.
they're
So
called.
we've just always called them that. They're just lights that light up like if you're low on radiator or you're low on oil. Now, they have also instrumentation that, you know, and most people have a lot of the instrumentation. You know, you have oil, pressure, you have radiator, what's the other one? Battery, and there's one more that'll come to me. Anyway, you should have at least those three. So you look at your battery and go, oh, it's halfway. Is that good or bad? Well, it's called, they're volts. Okay, you want at least 12 volts or more on that. So have a 12. Oh, I got 12 volts. I'm good. Okay, then you go to your oil pressure. Is the oil pressure may over more on this side? If it's over here, either you're low on oil or you're having a pumping problem with the oil, and it's a pressure thing. So hopefully it's over here. Usually it's not a problem. And then for the water, same thing. I don't want my water spiking all the way to 500 degrees. I want it to be about 180, 175, usually dead middle. And then it stays cool. That's what we want to do. We want to keep that thing cool, because it'll burn up quicker than anything if you don't keep it cool. Okay, hazard lights. Okay, submerge the indicator. So that's what you're looking for. That little, it's usually just a little,
Triangle thing.
you know,
It's
it's
a
a
triangle,
quad.
red
Do you
triangle.
guys ever all have that on your car, a little thing?
The one where you gotta run in real quick and you're like, let me just put this on.
Yeah, that's really not for So know where it's at, and know what it means, and know what it's gonna do for you, okay? That's a good thing. So if you have a problem on the freeway, which you're not gonna stay on the freeway because I told you not to, get off the freeway and then turn it on off the freeway, you know, and then call AAA. Okay. Steering wheel, make sure the steering wheel, you know, doesn't have a lot of crap on it, it's not sticky, you know, from food, from the kids, or whatever, you know. Just, you know, make sure it's clean, you know, so, and there's, you know, no brakes in it or anything like that. And then adjust it, you know, most of them you can adjust now, right? And go up and down and all that, so, you know, not too low like this and not too high. Make sure you can see the indicator, how fast you're going, there's a thought, you know. So you want to look at all the indicators that are on the panel, okay? Windows, adjust your mirror here, right, for the back. If it's clean in the back, I can see out the back. If it's not clean, I can't see out the back. You might as well tear that thing off, throw it in the back seat. But adjust that, and then you adjust your side mirrors too. You know, they're usually all electric, usually now, you know, but adjust those, okay, for you, you know. Every time my wife uses the car, I gotta readjust it. You know, make sure the windows roll up and down and stuff like that. You know, either they're hand cranks or they're electric. Most of them are electric now. Usually, ding, and they go up and down. You know, usually the one on the driver's side is automatic. You hit it once and it goes all the way down. You hit it twice, it goes up. You know, that kind of thing. So make sure that happens. Mirror side. Okay, make sure they're in good repair. I don't want a busted out window in the back. And I'll tell you about that. When I was a fireman, we had to get into a car when people were inside. This is the hardest window to get in, the front window. It's double laminated, and it's got two pieces of thing on there. And when it cracks, it cracks out, but it doesn't fall. Not like a regular, like a mirror or something like that. It comes out in sheets. Mm-hmm. This thing, just whole thing cracks, and you have to take it off around there. There's a laminate and a rubber. You have to take it completely off. Those are the hard ones to get to. If we were gonna, a lot of times we got kids in the cars and people would leave them in the car, and we would pull up and kids are in the car, dogs are in the car. I would bust out a back window. Usually a back window, not this back window, the big one. Usually, hopefully one on the side, and that's the least amount of damage, I guess I could say, for the people. Now, sometimes if they have these little side windows, you know, older cars do, you could bust that out and reach your hand in there and open the door lock. But yeah, so anyway, if you ever get in that situation where the keys are locked in a car and there's no other way, bust out bust out one of these little side windows. Okay, don't bust out the big one. Yeah, take this one. I just want to get in and get home. I get it, but just slow down. General look of it, safety guys, you know, you don't want to be sitting on, you know, springs, you know, and stuff like that. And then child seats and booster seats, make sure they're installed properly, okay? And make sure they're strapped down. I've seen people put them in there, just throw them in there, put the kid in there. I'm like, well, that's no good. They're still going to missile out of here if something happens, you know? So, and things happen so quickly, guys, so quickly.
Did the fire department, do they check that?
They
Do
can
use
check
that?
it for you. If you take your thing in and you say, I don't know how to do it, take it in, they'll show you exactly how to, you know, do the whole thing, strap it down really tight. You know, and then they got that, a lot of cars have that button on the side, on the passenger side, where you can turn off the airbag, and that's for the child. General airbags, they do save lives. Yeah, older cars don't have them, of course, but the new ones do. And some of them, I think mine's got like 6. And I'm like, really? The car's no bigger than this table. And it's got 6 airbags, but it's got one here, one here. They've got them up here now. They've got it in the back. They're just everywhere. Anything, and don't mess with them, okay? Because they blow out so quickly, you could really hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing, you know. And usually they're built into the steering wheel, you know. I went to several accidents where they blew out. You're going to get a broken nose and probably 2 black eyes out of it because they come out like a gun. I mean, there's blam, you just can't even stop it. I mean, if you wanted to, you could. There's no
Or
way.
I see how you're not supposed to have anything on your steering wheel.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they split, it's like this, and they just split open like that, and it comes out to you in such a force, but it's saving your life. It's better to have a black eye than be dead. So, yeah, so just be careful of airbags, you know. And then if you have kids and stuff, be careful where you put them. A little baby cannot withstand any kind of bullet like that. There's no way. So you got to be careful where you put them. That's why they put them in the back seat. There's really no airbags in the back seat. And some of them even have them on their back seats. The seat I'm sitting in has an airbag on there. Yeah, so you have to be careful everywhere now in cars, everywhere. I mean, you just feel like the bubble boy, you know, when you get hit. It's like boom, 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 everything, you know. But saves your life, you know, so that's the biggest thing. Well, any questions about the inside, guys, at all? Just remember, when you're driving the vehicle, everybody in the vehicle, you're responsible for. If something happens, and through your neglect or whatever, you're gonna be liable for it. They're gonna take you to court and you're gonna be liable, especially if it's somebody else's child, whoever. You know, your husband's in the other seat, if you wanna kill him. But, you know, just say, I don't know. But just say it, you're responsible for everybody in that car, okay? Just be careful when you're driving, okay? And like I said, drive defensively, you're responsible, so just be careful. And that vehicle is a weapon. It can be a weapon if you run anybody over, if you run into a building and you hurt somebody, you're gonna be liable for all of that. So know how to drive and drive defensively, okay? Like everybody's gonna hate you, okay? Okay. So now we're going to go to the exterior of the vehicle, okay? So that means all around the exterior, not the hood's down, that's down. Okay, so what we're looking at is mostly, the only 4 things that are touching the ground is your 4 tires, unless you're driving an 18-wheeler and you got 18 tires touching the ground. Okay, but 4 tires usually most people are looking at. So you guys make sure that the tires aren't low. If they're bulging, like out the side, kind of, that means they're low, okay? That doesn't mean, you know, something else. What else on the tire? Tread's a big deal. You know, try to keep it. Cracking on the side usually happens when a vehicle sit a lot, or it's like a tow vehicle or a horse vehicle. You could have brand new tires. You go, oh God, I put these on 2 years ago. Yeah, but it sat in the sun and it cracked the outside. And when the outside cracks, when a tire will blow out, it usually blow out on the outside wall. Okay, usually. So just because they're, you know, they're not new, but just because they're only a couple years old, they still will blow out if they sit in the sun a lot. So protect them as much as you can. I mean, put wheel protectors on them. I put that on stuff I have.
Watch them if you can.
You know, yeah. Put armor all on them a lot for protector. You know, just put them in the shade a lot if you can. Your tires, they'll just last longer. And rotate them. You know, every time you get an oil change, rotate them front to back, front to back, front to back. And they know how to rotate them, but just make sure you do that. And then if you have an indicator light that's inside that says you have it's low, it usually will tell you which one's low too, usually. I mean, right front, right back, left front. So target that one first, and then if they're all up and the thing's still on, like I tell you, it's that little sensor that's on the inside of the tire. Okay. On the tire, it'll tell you the pressure. Let's say if you have a truck and I put a load on that truck, like I work in bricks and I do bricks all day long and I stack them up to here, those back tires are trying to bulge out because the load, right? We're just pushing down on this car so badly. So what they do is they call them ply. So on the side of the tire, on the wall, right? They're called ply. They're how many ply that they put on here. So a vehicle that has a heavy load, you want at least, they call it 12 ply. That means it's 12 times wrapped on the outside. So when it gets pressure on it, it's pushing against those 12 ply, right? So it can take a heavier load. Now, having said that, this tire will take 80 to 125 pounds of tire pressure. This car will only take 30 because of the ply on the outside. And if I put everybody ever put a heavy load on a car and you've seen your tires, or you see the back end go way low and it's like, uh-oh, you know, maybe I have too much weight on it. You probably do. You know, so take some of the stuff out, make 2 trips. You know, but on a truck, most people know when they own a truck, you know, unless they're all show no go, you know, they'll put on a heavier ply tire, you know, if they're gonna use it for work and stuff like that. Okay. I have a truck and it's a Dodge, and my tires in the back, because I tow a fifth wheel. It's really heavy. It sits in the bed. The fifth wheel sits in the bed like that. Okay, and I tow it. 125 pounds of pressure on the back of that because it's taken a lot of load. You know, so anyway, just let you know that's how they kind of do tires. So anyway, so when you buy tires, you know, kind of know what you're buying, and then look on the owner's manual, and it'll recommend what tires for that vehicle.
Doesn't it have in the door too?
It does,
Yeah.
right on the
Sensor
door
pressure
jam.
in the
Yeah,
door.
you open up the door jam, it's a sticker right on the door jam.
And if you don't know how to check your tire pressure, you can go to any like discount tire and say, hey, can you just check my tires for me?
Yeah.
They'll do it for you.
Yeah,
for
they
free.
will, they will. Yep. So, I keep it's like a small air pressure thing, and it runs on batteries, just like a Prius has battery, but you stick it in there, and I can do all my tires with just a battery run thing, and you just set it. So I say 60 pounds, I put it on, push the button, and I'm done. I can walk away, and it'll stop at 60. So anyway, those are kind of a neat thing to get if you really want to check your tire pressure yourself, you know, after you take this class. Okay, so like I said, get the size and what's recommended for the car. People that change out the tires and mess with them and stuff like that, it messes with the whole aerodynamics of the car. It really does. It changes the way it steers, it changes everything. I've got a friend of mine that's got a truck that's got tires this big all the way around, and he can barely make a U-turn. I mean, he goes, because it just changes everything. Because the tires are this fat, and they're trying to go, you know, trying to move it around. They don't handle as well as when you use stock tires and stuff, you know. And they're making some really nice stuff stock, so I don't know why people change them out. It's just crazy because it messes up the whole dynamics of the car. They just run differently, they drive differently. It's bad. Well, I want to back up a little bit on and that's a good idea. Everybody tints their windows. A lot of people tint their windows because, you know, the sun beats in on us, but you can't have those too dark either. Anyway, okay, changing flats, guys. How many of you changed a flat here ever? Well, good girl. I'm impressed.
I learned from my father.
Did you? Good for you. Good for you.
I have a dad that
Okay. Okay, let's go back. Do you guys even know what kind of jack you have and where it's at?
Yeah.
Do you know where it's at? Michelle, you're not saying much. Do you know where it's at? It's in
Yeah.
well, okay. If you know where it's at, that's good. But know where it's at, because if somebody tries to help you, say, hey, my jack's here. You know, that kind of thing. At least you can say that, you know, because sometimes they'll put them underneath the hood, they'll put them in the trunk, they'll put them behind the seat. You know, they have a lock on the tire itself. You have to have that. That it's like
We found it in my
looks like
car.
a lug nut.
Yeah.
And you stick it in, and then you can take that off.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why people have lost their tires. I don't know one person my whole life that ever lost their tires. I don't know. So, I mean, seriously. I mean, I don't know anybody that's ever lost their tire.
It unlocks the tires.
Well, yeah, it's a lock for your tires, so nobody
It's
steals your
not-
rims and tires.
I
think.
guess.
That's what it's for. It's usually one.
It's like,
And it's
yeah,
got a
it's-
funny little design on it. You stick
Yeah.
this thing in there and
It's
you can turn
starting
it
or
on.
something to fly.
But just front and back windshields, just make sure they're clean, they're not cracked. You will get a ticket for a cracked window in the front. You will. I mean, you can, and then when they're real small, you can call somebody out, and then what they'll do is they'll drill a hole on the top, and they'll fill it with epoxy, and you don't have to get a whole new window. It's just a lot cheaper, you know. But if you wait, it'll go, and it never goes where you want it, like, oh, right down the bottom. It goes right across where your face is at. You're like, really? You know. Anyway, check your windows, make sure, like I said, not tinted, and clean, you know, everything, front, inside now. Wiper blades, guys, that's the last thing we always check. Everybody, in the summer, they never check them. They wish they would have, you know, but check, you know, wiper blades, especially if they're exposed and they don't go, you know, underneath where the sun's not beating on them. If they're exposed, they go south in a year. It will go south. They're just
Oh,
rubber.
yeah.
And they'll just go south, and you'll be like this, and all of a sudden it'll go, it'll just start scratching your window because there's nothing left. So change them out, you know, so keep an inspection and a log, guys, always of what you do. I write down everything I do on every vehicle I have. And it's, you know, I guess it's kind of, you know, but I don't care. Okay, and safety first, be safe, okay, on that. Okay, so that's the auto exterior, okay, we're getting there. Okay, so the undercarriage, guys, the auto undercarriage that's called the undercarriage, okay? All right, so under here, let's see, right here, that's the transmission. The transmission is connected to the engine, okay? The engine goes like that, and then it's connected to the transmission. There's gears in the transmission, many gears, okay? I got a 5-speed, I got a 6-speed, I got a 4-speed automatic. You've heard all these kind of things before, right? Well, it's coming from that transmission. It's either a stick or an automatic. A stick does not have the transmission. It has gears in there, but it's like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You could have 6 gears. But anyway, most of them now are automatic. When I was growing up, most of them were sticks. You just have a switch. Okay, so it goes into the transmission, and it goes all the way back. There's a shaft about that big around. It goes all the way back, and it goes into the rear differential, okay? The rear differential has oil in it, okay? And it can leak too, but normally it lasts the life of the car. And it's got one big square nut on there. You can actually change them out, change the oil in that too. Okay, so it goes back here. This thing, when the engine's on, transmission's moving, there are gears in here, it goes to the rear end, it's moving. So this thing goes back to, the power's going back to the back tires, okay? You ever heard of front wheel drive? Well, the power would go to the front tires, okay? That's the transmission transferring the motion to the front tires instead of the back. Okay, so you're pulling it instead of pushing it. Does that make sense? Okay, so all-wheel drive is all the tires are getting power to all the tires all the time. So you're getting, all of them have traction. Okay, that's what it means. They all have traction. They're not spinning freely. Okay, if it's not connected to the back, these are just spinning freely. But if they're all connected, and then some have, you know, like my truck, I can go 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive. So if I'm in 4-wheel drive, all of these are moving. You can't move too fast in 4-wheel drive because the gear will not allow you to go too fast. You'll go first, second, maybe third, but that's about as high as you can go. Okay, in 4-wheel drive. But and when you're driving, motor's revving up, it's getting faster and faster. If you guys ever feel your car, you change gears, and you can even feel it in an automatic, right? Well, that's what's happening. It's going through the gears in the transmission, and then it's getting bigger and bigger, bigger gear, and then it makes you go faster. Okay, that's all it is. It's just making you go faster. Okay, so if you have 4-wheel drive, I have a transmission in the front, and then I have also one in the back. So you have because it's going to put gears on both of them. So you really start going slow when you're in 4-wheel drive. You just cannot go fast. It will not allow you. But that's the reason, because snow, ice, whatever. And you guys may have in your cars, you may have like a turn of a switch, and it may say all-wheel drive, or it may say traction control or something like that. If you get in like rain and stuff like that, we're raining and it's really bad, turn that on. It won't hurt nothing, and it gives you more traction. It really does. You know, just something that more of an assist, okay? All right, yeah. So it's kind of the same thing. Motor goes to transmission, goes up to the pumpkin, they call it usually, and then so this This is a drive, the back wheels drive it and push it, okay? Okay. All right, so transmission, check the filter, okay, the filter, guys, on a transmission is on the bottom of the pan of the tranny. You're not gonna check that. I can't check it. There's like 12 bolts. You gotta take that off. There's a filter in there. It's usually not disposable. It's usually metal, and you can pull it out, clean it, put it back in. But your mechanic will do that. Yeah. So, and then you just check for leaks. You guys usually want a car, if it's leaking in the front, it's usually the motor. If it's leaking in the middle, it's usually your transmission. If it's leaking in the back, it's usually your rear differential. It's really no surprises. I mean, seriously, if it's in the motor compartment, it could be several things. You know, power steering, you know, your oil, you know, but look what it is. Say, that looks like oil. Okay, you narrow that down. Now it's not radiator fluid, right? So now we know at least it's oil, and then you can see where it's coming from, you know, hopefully. And, you know, not all oil leaks have to be fixed. You know, you can live with them for a while, you just gotta check your oil more. Make sure it's got oil, you don't want it to run dry.
Or sometimes like the AC will like leave something.
Yeah, the AC, that's a good question, that's a good thing, because what the AC does, it's on a belt that goes through everything, right? And when I turn that off, you hear your motor go down when you turn it off. Well, it's harder to move an AC on a motor. Okay, the motor's working harder. But what it's doing, it's got lines in there that get cold. And when they get cold, they expand and contract, expand and contract. And you don't want to touch those because they really are cold. They're ice cold. I mean, they're like frozen cold. But what they do is they give out water and it'll drip down. And that's perfectly normal on every single car. It's just water. It just condensates and puts water in there. So, yeah. But we talked about the rear end. There's gears in here. There's oil in there. And then, like I said, what it does is it transfers the power to the back wheels. Okay, that's all that does. You probably don't never ever in your life crawl out of the car and look at this stuff, I'm sure. Exhaust system, we didn't talk about that too much. I knew you had an exhaust problem. But you can put on exhausts that make too much noise. People do, you know, because they want to sound like a race car, but they're really not. It's not a good thing to do. When you modify anything, it messes up the motor's performance. So she's like, yeah, Bill, yeah, Bill. Yeah.
It wasn't me.
I know, I'm just saying. But so your exhaust system, it does what? It's a byproduct of what's going on in your engine. Your engine's doing stuff. It's making, firing on the piston and the spark plugs. They're firing. Okay, and and it's got an exhaust that's coming out, going into usually a what do you call it? Catalytic converter. For some reason, they're stealing those now. It's beyond me.
I gotta get a new one of those.
Do you? Got to get a new one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the catalytic converter kind of cleans the smoke that's coming out of the engine more and more, and then when you exhaust, you shouldn't be able to see white smoke or anything like that. It should be real clean exhaust. They say the air now is cleaner now than it was when I was, because of the emissions and stuff that now do not come out of it. You see these cars, blam, and black smoke, and you're like, really? What is that all about? You know. So anyway, they've cleaned it up quite a bit on the exhaust and emissions. You know, go get a smog. That's all that is all about. It's just, you know, it's nothing. You know. So I went and got a smog in my older Dodge, and all they did was put a black piece of plywood or a white piece of plywood, and he put it on the back where the exhaust was. He goes, start your car. I started it. He wanted to see if there was any particles coming out of my exhaust. That was it. It was clean, so okay, I passed. That was it. $50, please.
Yeah.
Really? I hated him for that. I was like, really? You didn't do anything. That's what I told him. I go, you didn't do anything. I could have done that. So anyway, so always check your fluids cold, guys, okay? And then be safe, okay? Check your levels often, okay? At least once a month. I mean, seriously, you should check things at least once a month. If you know you have an issue, I got a leak in my engine compartment, I check it a little more. Maybe every week, 2 weeks, depending on how big the drip is. Keep your maintenance logs and stuff close. Keep them in the thing, and we have a maintenance log to give you guys too. Okay. Review the owner's manual. If you're confused about anything, it's in the owner's manual. I know that's like watching paint dry when you have to read this stuff, but you know it'll show you what's going on. You know it'll actually show you. Okay. Do a visual car inspection. I kept telling you guys that over and over. When you borrow somebody's car, you rent a car, check it out. If you're not familiar with it, So it'll just make it, you'll feel so much better when you get in the car and you ride it, okay? Fix small problems so they don't turn into big problems, okay? And educate yourself before you go to a repair shop. So if you know you have a problem, you know, you want your oil changed, you want your tires rotated, you want a front end alignment, you know what all that means? Well, you better before you go in there, because I don't like them ripping your heads off either, I really don't. And if you find a good mechanic, keep them. They're like a good doctor, believe me. I mean, keep them as long as you can. If they're affordable, stuff like that. If you don't know anybody, I have somebody over here I would highly recommend. Highly recommend. Wayne, he's over in Santee, and he does a great job. And he doesn't rip your head off, and he does exactly what you tell him to do. So if you need anybody, let me know. Look at it, I'm checking the tires, make sure the tires are all up. They look pretty good. They don't look like they have a little bulge in them at all. I'm just checking them out. I go like this and I'll feel it, see if it's got any tread. Had them on there for a while. I can tell.
Think he noticed it.
See, so her wiper blades are exposed, right? So she's probably gonna have to replace them. You see how the different size? This is a little one, and that's a big one. You know, so you gotta buy them for this vehicle. You can get those Napa. Okay, so she flips the hood, right? So there, that unlatches it, and she should have another.
There's like a little.
Yeah, right here. So she got a handle right here that unlatches it. Okay. So we go here. See the yellow? Tell me anything that's yellow or colored is important, right? So we go like this. We stick that right there. Okay. I have never seen this engine before, but what do you guys think? Where do you guys think the oil's at? Where's the oil at? Show me. Come on. Come on. Where's the oil at?
Said anything colored?
Anything color. Okay, show me what's colored.
The red one.
How about that one? There you go. There's a thought. So we're gonna check it. We're gonna pull. You never just pull it out and check it. You wipe it off first, and then you stick it back in that hole. Wanda's, I checked it right here, and it broke off in my hand right here because they just get hot, and the plastic will give it up eventually. So I check it. So. Okay, we're gonna look at this. Okay, she got oil on this thing. Okay, so she wants to keep it between those two lines there at least. So that would be low, right to there would be the top. Okay. Okay, so that's how you check the oil basically. Just kind of pull it in, pull it out. You know, it's cool. The motor's cool. Okay, so what do we think this is?
Wiper fluid.
No.
Radiator.
Very good. Radiator. That's a radiator. So she has a radiator up here, right? Okay, this is connected to this. Okay, so when this needs water, it pulls it from here and puts it back into here. Okay, so you want to make sure that's up. She's low. She's on minimum. You want to be on maximum. So she wants to go up a little bit. So she would pull this off, and it doesn't have any pressure in it. Okay. And just fill that up. Fill it up to the max and shut it back down. Okay? Alrighty. Okay, so what else we have? Anybody know what that blue thing besides you? What's that blue thing?
Wiper.
That's right. So she's very low on that too. So you can put water in it. You can just fill it up with water. Yeah. Doesn't hurt anything. Yeah, I told go to 99-cent store and get a gallon of Weiser fluid. Yeah. So that's a little low. It's down to here. You can fill it up. It's good to keep it up. Let's see, what else? Let's see, okay, right here. She's got, this is brake fluid, okay? And it does have a mark on the side, and she looks like she's good. And you want it to keep it fairly clear. I don't want brake fluid to be dirty or black or anything like that. And if it gets like that, you have to, it's better to flush the whole system. But this is brake right here. Okay, what else? I'm trying to find some other things we can check. Okay, you guys see all these lines here? It has a little cap up here. That says an H for hot. Okay, and this little line here and stuff. And all these big lines back here, that's all your air conditioning. That's an it just runs, there's an air conditioning, the compressor that is turning and taking in hot air from the inside, compressing it, putting it back in cool. Okay, let's see. What else we got? You do have an air filter. Her air filter, pull to, what's that saying? Pull to open. Okay. Let's see. Okay, it might be just right here. I don't know how to take it off, but you do have an air cleaner right here. Not bad. I like the way they did that. Finally, they made something smart. Okay, and it's fairly clean. Yeah, it's fairly clean. So that's her air filter. Okay. All right, and then let's see. She's got her battery right here. Okay, you can barely see it. It has a plus and a minus, probably the battery. Okay, right here. Okay, and see the posts aren't dirty. You get all that green stuff around the posts. You guys seen that before? Usually on the negative side, but no, it looks pretty clean. Yep, everything looks good. And if you're gonna jump it, I would put my connection here and on this green one here, or probably maybe that one because that goes right to the post, and then you could jump the car if you had to. Okay. Okay. Now last thing, and I can't see it on this side. I was looking for the transmission dipstick. You guys underneath here, these are all fuses. I can tell you that right now. They're fuses for the whole car. And what does that mean to me and you? Well, see, everything, and they're going to check that if you got any electrical issues. They're going to go to these fuses and see if the fuse, like your windshield wipers don't work. It's got a fuse. You know where you can find this? You can find this in your owner's manual. It'll tell you what every one of these do. Your owner's manual will tell you what they do.
And on the box.
And on the box. Thank you very much. Ta-da! Very good. I'm glad you saw that, Michelle. Good. So anyway, if you got an electrical problem, that's usually where it goes. Okay, don't want to fall off. And then I'm trying to find the tranny, and then that's the last of it other than the transmission. Okay. I don't see it in the down here. This is your alternator that charges your battery. That is your belt, okay, that goes, and it's all on this side. Okay, it has one belt. It's a serpentine belt. It's about that wide. You can see it right here. Okay, and like I said, about every 100, replace it. Just replace it. It's the smartest thing you can do. Anyway, anybody got any questions about the engine compartment? See, you know more now than you've ever known in your whole life. You can fill out a survey thing. I'd appreciate it, how I did, and then we can go from there.
Awesome.
How's that? All right. Cut.